From doubts and failures to global success, Jack lived in a quiet, forgotten town where the days felt the same. The streets were lined with old buildings, cracked sidewalks, and small shops that barely survived. Life moved slowly here, and dreams tended to shrink with time. At 24, Jack worked in a dusty warehouse on the edge of town. His days were spent moving boxes, stacking crates, and checking inventory. The job paid just enough to cover rent and basic food. His jeans were worn, his hands rough, and his back ached from lifting. But the real weight he carried wasn't physical, it was the feeling that life was passing him by. Every evening, Jack would return to his small apartment. The place was barely furnished, an old couch, a table with scratches from the previous tenant, and a cheap laptop on a wobbly desk. The hum of the refrigerator was the only sound that kept him company. Sometimes, late at night, he would open his laptop and browse articles about successful entrepreneurs. He loved reading how people started with nothing, sometimes less than he had, and built thriving businesses. But what drew him in wasn't their wealth. It was the struggle at the beginning. One rainy evening, he stumbled upon an article titled, "How to Start an Online Store with No Money." The headline seemed almost laughable, but as he read, something sparked inside him. It explained how anyone could start small, selling products online with minimal investment. Jack sat back in his chair, staring at the rain outside. Could I do this? He thought. What if I fail? Then another thought came. What if I don't even try? That night, he made a decision. Jack sold his old phone, gathered every dollar he could, and scraped together $50. It wasn't much, but it was enough for a test. He decided to order a small batch of inexpensive watches from a supplier overseas. They weren't luxury brands, but they looked decent. He spent long nights teaching himself how to create a simple website. It wasn't pretty, but it worked. He listed the watches, took photos with his old camera, and wrote descriptions that he hoped sounded professional. For 2 weeks, nothing happened. Every morning before work, he would open his email, hoping to see a notification. "New order received." But every morning the inbox was empty. Frustration crept in. One evening, sitting on his couch, Jack muttered, "Maybe I'm just not cut out for this. Who would buy from me anyway?" But the next day, everything changed. At 2:47 p.m., as he was on his lunch break at the warehouse, his phone buzzed. He looked down and froze. "New order received." He read the details. A woman from another city had purchased a watch as a gift for her boyfriend. Jack smiled for the first time in days. That night, he carefully packed the order. His small apartment kitchen table became a shipping station. He wrapped the watch in bubble wrap, placed it in a small box, and added a handwritten note. "Thank you for your purchase. I hope he loves it, Jack." A few days later, the woman left a glowing review. It wasn't just about the watch. She mentioned the note. It felt personal, she wrote. That single review gave him energy he hadn't felt in years. Jack became obsessed with learning. After work, instead of watching TV, he took free online courses. He learned the basics of marketing, how to create ads on social media, and how to write better product descriptions. Slowly, orders began to trickle in, but success never comes without setbacks. Encouraged by his small wins, Jack invested nearly all his savings, about $500, into a new batch of watches. When the shipment arrived, his excitement turned to horror. Many watches were defective, scratched faces, broken clasps, cheap straps. He immediately contacted the supplier, but they refused a refund. Jack felt sick. The boxes of damaged watches sat in his apartment like a reminder of failure. For 2 days, he barely ate. On the third day, he stood in front of the boxes and said out loud, "No, I'm not quitting over this." He decided to sell them at a discount, clearly describing the imperfections. Surprisingly, customers still bought them. Some even appreciated his honesty. He took a small loss, but his reputation remained intact. That moment taught Jack an important lesson. The most valuable asset in business isn't money, it's trust. Months passed. Jack worked tirelessly. His tiny apartment became a warehouse. Packages covered his floor. He upgraded his website, expanded his advertising, and negotiated with better suppliers. Soon, his small store was earning a steady profit. He rented a small office, a one-room space with peeling paint. But to Jack, it was a dream. He hired two part-time employees to help with packing and shipping. Jack's product range grew: car accessories, sports gear, small electronics. Each new product brought new risks, but his determination was stronger than his fear. For years after his first sale, Jack woke up one morning, opened his banking app, and froze. His balance read $25,000. He sat in silence, staring at the number. For years earlier, he couldn't imagine saving even $1,000. Now, his business had generated an amount that once seemed unreachable. But Jack didn't rush to buy a car or move to a bigger apartment. Instead, he reinvested. He launched his own clothing brand, starting with just a few designs. He partnered with local designers and small manufacturers. His brand slowly gained popularity. The first order from Europe arrived unexpectedly. Jack stared at the shipping label: Paris, France. His small-town business was now global. Success brought new challenges. Competitors noticed him. Some tried to copy his designs, others slashed their prices. Jack didn't panic. Instead, he improved his brand: better packaging, better customer service, stronger marketing. He learned that success wasn't a final destination, it was a constant process of adaptation. Within 2 years, his company was making tens of thousands of dollars a month. But more importantly, Jack had freedom. He could choose his projects, his schedule, and his future. Jack began giving free online talks for young entrepreneurs. "I know how it feels," he'd say during webinars, "to be broke, scared, and unsure if your idea will work. I also know how it feels to watch that first order come in." Every big success story starts with one person who refuses to quit. He told them about his defective watches, his sleepless nights, and his moments of doubt. But most importantly, he told them about persistence. Jack's story became proof that wealth doesn't begin with money. It begins with determination. Money is the result of courage, the courage to take action, to fail, to get back up, and to keep going. From a dusty warehouse in a forgotten town to an international business, Jack's journey proved that even someone with empty pockets and big dreams can reach the top if they refuse to give up.